On December 8, 2005, the Texas Rangers made a blockbuster trade with the Washington Nationals. Texas sent second baseman Alfonso Soriano to Washington in exchange for outfielders Termel Sledge and Brad Wilkerson, as well as pitching prospect Armando Galarraga. Soriano was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball across the first half of the 2000s. From 2001 to 2005, he had both the 6th most extra base hits of any player and the 6th most stolen bases. Additionally, his 825 OPS and 112 adjusted OPS in that span both ranked in the top 30 for all players with at least 3,000 plate appearances. He was one of the most well-rounded hitters, as very few in the league matched his amazing power-speed combo. With that being said, when the Nationals acquired this star player, it looked like a perfect match for both sides. Soriano was going from a Texas Rangers team coming off a losing record in 2005 to a Nationals team looking to compete for a playoff spot. The 2005 Nationals featured one of the strongest pitching staffs in the National League. They allowed 4.15 runs scored per game on average, which was the 4th best out of the 16 teams. However, their lineup was the complete opposite. Washington in 2005 scored an average of 3.94 runs per game, which was dead last in the National League. So on one hand, Soriano was going to a potential contender, and on the other, the Nationals bulked up their lineup with one of the best hitters in baseball. Seems like a win-win for both sides, except it wasn't. What was the problem? The Nationals already had an established second baseman in Jose Vidro. Vidro was entering his 10th season with the franchise in 2006 and had manned second base basically the entire time. He was no slouch either, as across the past 6 seasons from 1999 to 2005, Vidro had a sharp 853 OPS and 117 adjusted OPS. He was by no means the best defender at second, but compared to Soriano, he might as well have been a Gold Glover. From 2001 to 2005, Vidro earned negative 0.6 D-WAR. In that same time frame, Soriano earned negative 4.4 D-WAR. There's a lot that can be said about Soriano's defense, but to simplify it in 3 words, it wasn't good. Seeing how the Nationals already had an established second baseman, the plan was to move Alfonso Soriano to the outfield. They had just traded away everyday outfielder Brad Wilkerson in the deal, so there was an open spot. Seems cut and dry, except for the fact that Soriano was not thrilled with the idea. Immediately following the trade were there questions regarding Soriano's position for 2006, and the man himself was stern on staying at second base. He was quoted saying, "I'm going to play second base. I don't think they want me to play the outfield. I think that if they trade for me, it's to play second base. Obviously, I have control. Of course I'm not going to play the outfield." One Texas Rangers official even chimed in, saying the Nationals are going to have a big problem if they move him to the outfield. Alas, while the Nationals had 2 second basemen on the roster, the offseason came and went without much traction on Soriano's permanent position. As spring training started, both Soriano and Jose Vidro took infield drills at second base, with everybody on the Nationals ignoring the glaring issue. Washington manager Frank Robinson said, "The decision on Soriano's position will be made before the season starts, but as one writer put it, both men, as well as the general manager, refuse to recognize the elephant in the room." Fortunately, or unfortunately, the predicament was able to be put on hold because Soriano was set to play in the World Baseball Classic for the Dominican Republic. Since the WBC started before the first spring training game, he never got a chance to play any position for Washington yet. Not only that, but in the games he appeared within the tournament, Soriano played exclusively at second base. That both reinforced his role as a second baseman, and in the event he did move to the outfield, this was taking away time he could be practicing playing the position. Funny enough, the broadcasters during the WBC discussed the situation.
And he's not going to move. I'm sorry, but he isn't moving. And if you don't know what we're talking about, the Washington Nationals were attempting to try to move him to the outfield, as did Texas and as did the Yankees, and he didn't move.
I think they're still trying to move him. I know he's not going to move, but I don't think that discussion ended when Soriano said, "You got 2 weeks to fix it."
Clear as day that the consensus at least with Harold Reynolds, was that Soriano was staying put at second. When asked about it during the WBC, Soriano stated, "I don't want to talk about outfield and the situation with Nationals of Washington. I'm here with my country and I don't want to think about the problem I have with Washington. I think about here and representing my country. I will admit, that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say Nationals of Washington, and I'm now petitioning for that to be their official name." Moving on, the Dominican Republic team would play their final game in the tournament on March 18th, losing in the semifinals to Cuba. After that game ended, he flew back to Florida to join the Nationals of Washington at spring training and was set to make his debut on March 20th. That wouldn't happen though. Washington manager Frank Robinson penciled Soriano in at left field, and Soriano refused to play. Yes, he wanted to play second base so much, he wouldn't even play left field in a spring training game. General manager Jim Bowden said of Soriano, "The player refused to take the field, which we believe is a violation of his contract. We told him if we get to Thursday and he refuses to play left field, we told him at that point, we will request that the commissioner's office place him on the disqualified list. At that time, no pay, no service time. If he refuses to play and goes home, and the commissioner's office accepts our request to place him on the disqualified list, then at that point, if he were to sit out this year, he would not be a free agent. He would stay our property because his service time would stay the same." Frank Robinson stuck by Bowden as he said, "If he's going to play here, he's going to have to be out in left field. He said he's ready to play, he needs to play. He's ready for the season, and I penciled him in the lineup in left field. He's very sensitive and he has a mindset. He lets you know how he feels." The reactions from players were diverse to say the least. Teammate Jose Guillen said, "I just hope they can fix the situation. That's up to the people upstairs and Soriano. I think everybody's a grown-up man here. I just hope for the best for the team and those guys, and that they can fix the situation, but that's pretty much not my business." Florida Marlins hitter Lenny Harris was quoted saying, "A guy makes $10 million a year, that guy's gotta play. You go out there and have fun. That's why I play the game. I come back for $25,000 a year raises. For that money, I'll play anything." Former pitcher and then broadcaster Jeff Brantley said, "You got your employer that's paying you a lot of money, and they're asking you to play left field. If you don't want to play left field, go home. Quit. Don't take the money." Meanwhile, one unnamed Rangers player said he could see this issue coming a mile away, and I'm sure most people in baseball could as well. This was, after all, an issue that arose the moment the Nationals traded for him, and they waited until the extreme last minute to take care of it. Here's the timeline again during these few days. On Monday, March 20th, Alfonso Soriano was scheduled to make his spring training debut, starting in left field. When he found out he needed to be in left, he refused to play. Washington had an off day on Tuesday, then were set to play the St. Louis Cardinals on Wednesday. If Soriano didn't play in that game, the team would request that he get put on the disqualified list, pretty much ending his season and possibly even career. On Wednesday, March 22nd, 19 years ago tomorrow, Alfonso Soriano ended his 2-day protest and agreed to play in left field. When asked about his move to left, Soriano kept his response short. "I have no choice. I love the game. I hope I stay healthy, and I hope they play me there every day because I love the game." That's pretty much the end of the whole debacle. Soriano caved in and played left field in all 158 starts he made during the 2006 season. Now, if I may chime in here, this might be the dumbest protest a player has ever taken. Don't get me wrong, the Nationals absolutely should not have waited until 2 weeks prior to opening day to address this, but I mean, come on. Really, Soriano? Washington wasn't doing anything outrageous, like asking you to platoon or to become a bench player. Playing a new position can be challenging, yes, but to pout for 3 months over this, and to risk losing everything? This should have been one of the most non-issues ever, but transformed into a 3-month-long standoff, and of course the Nationals won. They were going to win from the start. Plus, and I cannot stress this enough, there have been countless times of a player moving positions to accommodate somebody else. Hall of Famer Tony Perez moved to first base from third in the mid-1970s for Pete Rose and others as well. Hall of Famer Chipper Jones moved from third to left field for a couple of seasons as the Braves signed Vinny Casilla, and for another Hall of Famer, Craig Biggio moved from second base to left field after the Astros signed Jeff Kent. Even in recent times, Mookie Betts moved from right field to shortstop for the Dodgers just last year in 2024. Not to hamper Soriano anymore, but it's also not as if he had the glove of Bill Mazeroski or Chase Utley. He was a poor fielder at second. The point is, moving positions should be the least of one's concerns, but Soriano turned it into a big deal. As for the man in question, 2006 would be the best season of his career. He slugged 46 home runs and stole 41 bases, joining the ultra-exclusive 40-40 club while placing 6th in MVP voting. He was a free agent following the year and signed a huge 8-year, $136 million contract with the Chicago Cubs. Oh, and dare I mention, he actually flourished defensively at that position. In 2006, he recorded 22 outfield assists. At the time, it was the most by any outfielder since 1983. Through the 2024 season, nobody has matched that number. The most since has been 20. As for the Nationals, they didn't make it out so well. They took a huge step back and finished in last place in the division with a 71-91 record. Ironically, 2006 was also the final year Jose Vidro spent with the franchise. First, the team had too many second basemen, then they didn't have any at all. During the 2005 offseason, second baseman Alfonso Soriano was traded to a Washington Nationals team that already had a second baseman. Rather than accept a new role in left field, he spent the entire offseason fighting his new role, proclaiming time and time again he would play second base and second base only. When the Nationals finally took action, he reluctantly accepted, purely because he would be out of a job if he didn't. From 2006 to the end of his career in 2014, Soriano played in over 1,000 games in left field and a total of 4 at second base. As a left fielder, he had the best season of his career and settled in nicely as a mainstay for the Chicago Cubs for several years. It certainly appears a position change worked out well for him in the end.